Hello, everyone. I am Mikel. I work for Code Syntax, an internet company in the Basque Country in northern Spain. And I will explain how we have done, as I say here, multi-country language and domain applications with Plone. We are a group of 16 people in our company, not all of them Plone developers. We are 6 developers and half of them do Plone. And we are working on the internet since 2001, more or less. And since the beginning, we do it with Python. We started with plain SOAP, and back in 2005, we started doing Plone. And then we do also some Django and some other things we don't want to say. Well, just going to the use case I want to present. Some years ago, a company from our surroundings came to ask for a web platform. They wanted to get rid of their manual website. They did everything with Dreamweaver, I guess, and start managing all content for all their sites using a CMS. So, and from the beginning, they said that they wanted a multilingual solution because they were heavily internationalized. They sold more than, I think they said, more than 70% of their sales out of Spain. So they needed something multilingual and something centralized to manage all the content for all their delegations and subsidiary branches that they have all over the world. They wanted this platform to be unique and centralized because they wanted to control all the steps of the publication workflow. They wanted to have some central control of the content, but let the subsidiaries to manage some of the contents because the things are not the same when they sell machines to companies in Russia or the ones they sell in the UK, for instance. And they wanted to do it in a multilingual way. They wanted to have, for instance, the mysite.com/en for the English content and the ES for the Spanish content. That's a pretty normal use case when you use Plone in this kind of applications. But they always wanted something else. So they also wanted multi-domain applications. They wanted just one Plone served with different domains. Okay, they wanted mysite.de for Deutschland, for Germany, sorry, mysite.es for Spain, and so on. But after that, they told us that, okay, I want to do it multi-everything. I mean, I want to serve mysite.com/en, but also mysite.es/es and mysite.com/es. So they wanted to mix everything, but everything centralized. So they needed something like cms.mysite.com to edit all the content, but sell from different domains. Well, it was like a bit of challenge at the beginning because we didn't know how to manage all that stuff. But from the beginning, we decided to do this with Plone, and we investigated content types and the new standard solution to do multilingual things in Plone that is currently blown up multilingual. We found also a nice add-on called corrective.lingual domains that provided us with a way to provide different domains with only one Plone instance, only one Plone installation to provide different domains within the application. So with this standard product, so with this product, we thought that we had almost everything covered, but then our client started asking questions. So the first one was, okay, I want to have 2 different Spanish versions or 2 different English versions because I want to have the .com site in Spanish with international generic Spanish content, but I also want to have .es site with targeting Spain, but with different content. So if you go to the Plone control panel and start checking the languages, you cannot select one language twice. I mean, you cannot check two Spanish sites because it makes no sense. So there is a small checkbox there saying that show country-specific language variants that allows you to select different language variants for each language. For those which have configured the language variant thing, if you go to the ISO standard, you will find some of those language variants. So it's and Plone provides it through a package through Plone.iatn, I think. So if you go there, you have a big vocabulary there, and you have there all Spanish variants for all countries in Latin America. You have all variants for French for all countries that French is spoken. The same for those for English or German. You have several versions of German, and so we just enabled that checkbox, and suddenly we had the mysite.com/es and mysite.com/es-es, one targeting international site in Spanish and another one targeting Spanish for Spain. I will show an example with mine so that you can figure out the thing. So the next question was, okay, I want to create a site for Mexico, but in English, because they sell a lot of things for the companies in the border between US and Mexico, and I need to create en-mx. Okay, how can I do that? Well, that's a language that doesn't exist. I mean, I can create en-mx because it doesn't exist in the list. So, okay, we can create a language for you. So just we pass the vocabulary, extend it with all the languages we want. So we created, for instance, Mexico, English for Mexico, or English for France, or Russian for Kazakhstan. Language variants that entirely they don't exist, but you can create them, patch in the vocabulary, and as long as you keep the first part of the language variant correct, Plone understands it and provides the user interface correctly. So if you create, I don't know, German for UK, the DE-UK, as long as you keep the DE, the user interface in German. So you create fake language, but the user interface keeps in sync with that language. So we just have to patch the Plone IATN vocabulary and provide the new languages, or fake languages. Okay, that was one of the easiest parts, and then the next point was, okay, we want to serve this from several domains. I don't want to have mysite.com for all my languages. I want to have mysite.mexico only with languages for Mexico, or mysite.es only with Spanish content or Catalan content. Some domains should serve only some languages. So we started browsing the corrective, and we found corrective lingua domains. It's a small package that creates a configuration registry form where allows you to say in which domain will be served which languages. So you can configure, for instance, I don't know if you can see here, you have then I will post the URL of the slides. There you can see that the first one is mysite.com, and it uses a pipe, and then en, and with that it configures a Plone to serve that domain with that language. So you can configure that for any domain you want, as long as you point the domain pointing to that website. And it takes care of redirecting the user if he uses an incorrect mix of domain and language. So if you only have configured English site for .com and you ask for French content, it will take care of redirecting you to the correct domain. So it's pretty simple because it's just a control panel configured and redirect viewed, but it's really powerful because it creates all the redirects, as I said that.
Although you have to, if you want to provide direct links to the new domains in the language change viewer, if you know the language change viewer of Plone 5, it creates redirect URLs instead of direct URLs of the content. So if you have a content, if you have a site in English and Spanish, the language change link goes to a multilingual redirect and a UID or something like that. So if you want to get, instead of a redirect, if you want to get a direct URL, you have to patch it. So well, that was quite easy to do. But okay, we had to do that. I mean, because our SEO man wanted to change that because no, I don't want Google to get so many redirect codes. So, but anyway, it's pretty easy because the Lingua Domains tool provides tools to get all that URLs correctly. The same goes. Well, this is here. Perhaps you can see better the language change URL where you can see we have different domains here. Here, for instance, this is an address for Argentina where they use Spanish for Argentina, and here you have .com.br with Portuguese for Brazil. So we have a lot of links like that on the site. The same goes for the language alternate viewer. I don't know if you know this, but Plone has this since, I think in Plone 4 we also have this using Lingua Plone. It's a way to mark Google and other search engines that we have this content in another language. It's just a meta tag that says Google, okay, this content is in this language in this other URL. It's like the language change content, but for the language change viewer, but for Google and other search engines. You have in that link, if you click in the guidelines by Google, you can find more information about this language alternate viewer and how does it help Google and other search engines to classify content. So the next question after fixing the multiple languages, multiple inexisting languages, multiple domains, can we create a new language counterpart but based on existing content? We don't want to start creating English for Mexico from scratch, but we want to copy our actual site, our actual English site, and start modifying the content there. So we have already created a script to do that for another client, and we started refining it and modifying it, and we created a language copier that takes a content object and translates it to a selected language, all the content object itself and all of its contents. It copies all the attributes, all the values, all the related item registrations, properties, the layouts, and everything. So you don't have to start from scratch when doing a new content. We are working these weeks to polish this script. The script works as is, but perhaps to install it in Plone and so on, I need to work more on that. But you can have it. You can get it on GitHub. There was a conversation some months ago, I think, in community.plone.org with a use case like this one, and another person took this script and made some modifications. I don't know if he's here in the conference, I don't know, but he has some modifications for the scripts. They are available at community.plone.org if you could find this topic there. And we are going to refine it and fix it and so that it's usable for the end user. So with all that, we published the site, and some weeks after the publishing of the site, the client was quite happy with it. Came another client with very similar requirements to build their site. They wanted a multi-domain website, multi-language with Plone, centralized, and all of that, but asked it with a couple of additions. The first one was, can you do content management for us? I don't want to learn Plone, I don't want to edit the content in TinyMC. I will send you the content translated and put it on the website. Okay, we tell him, okay, but provide us with all the translations and everything, okay, just no problem, we will provide with all the HTML and so on. So, and we decided to, okay, this is a perfect situation for us to use translation aiding tools using XLIF, for instance, because that way we could save all the translation memories that had this company, so that when they come again modifying small parts of the site, we could have all the content already translated. If you don't know XLIF, it's an XML-based format to try to standardize the format of data during the localization process. It's a very simple XML file with a lot of items like this one. There are trans units. It's more or less, if you know, PO files are more or less the same, but for bigger content. And it helps the end user, the translator, to translate the content using escaping all that HTML that can be in the content, because PO files normally don't have HTML, but when you translate the contents of a page, you get a lot of HTML with a lot of images and links and that sort of things that you need to escape when you translate it. So there is a product called SLCXL created by Syslab for one of their projects and with an agency of the EU, of the European Union, and it's a very simple integration for Plone for both importing and exporting dexterity or archetypes content. It exports each field in a translation unit, so you can send that to a translator or use it in your own translation aid tool, and then send back the content to Plone, import the content, and it takes care of translating and linking the contents and everything. There is another product handling XLIF, I think, but I'm not sure if it's currently maintained or not. I think the EA used it in the beginnings. I don't know if they are still using it, but it's pretty easy to use it, and it's very useful. But sometimes the content, remember that we are talking about HTML, has images or links, and sometimes when the marketing department of the company starts doing websites, they enter slogans or texts in the images, and okay, we know that you have to translate also that images, no? Right? The XLIF tries to hide the translator, the HTML tag, so that we don't get strong tag or A tags translated, because that makes no sense. So when we got back the translated content, we got the links and the images references for the original content, and that's a problem. You cannot show, for instance, where we had, I think we had a use case with a map. They were using in an English content page a map of England, and we had to change that to a map of Spain in the Spanish content, so we had to do something there. So there were too many places where we had images or links to files. So what we did was use Plone.output filters. I mean, you know this, that the typical use case is when you enter an image using TinyMC, Plone saves a link using resolve UID and a UID, and then when Plone renders the website, it reads those links and provides direct links to the object. So we reused that filter, and we checked all links for images and files that we had inside Plone. And when creating the real URL of the object, we checked if that object had translations or not. And if had, we linked it to the correct one. So there was no need to check manually all the content for all the pages, but Plone did that for us almost for free. It was just to override the standard resolve UID and caption filter and provide here the check of this object was in this language or not, and get the correct object depending on the translation and provide the link to it. It was pretty handy to get this, and it saved to us a lot of time instead of going and checking all the pages of our site. So to summarize a bit what we did with this and what tools we use for this, we think that Plone is perfect for multilingual content sites. We have done some examples with some sites with Django, and Django's multilingual handling is not as good as Plone's. It's not a CMS Django. You can use extensions, but we find that Plone is much better for that. It's very easy to build powerful multi-site and multilingual sites. It's just to go to the language control panel, enable more languages, and you are almost done. You have just to add content. There are a lot of useful add-ons on the collective, as you may know. It's just you have to take some time to browse it, and you find little gems like collective lingua domains or SLCXL and many others. You have to pay attention. We recommend, when doing multilingual content sites, we recommend to pay attention to the language change URLs, because we think that it's important to provide the end user a correct way to browse through your site. We think that the better thing is to directly provide links to the other languages or other country sites, and not to get them back to the front page and tell them, okay, now you have to browse again to all the content. So with Plone, you have that for free when you install either Lingua Plone if you are using archetypes, or Plone app multilingual if you are using it in modern scenarios. And have also Google and other search engines in mind, because of redirects, the proper language codes using standard, international standard language codes, the alternate content links, and many other things that Google values so much for SEO and putting your site in search results in the top of results. If you want to check the websites we did with this methodology and with this product, you can find the links here. It's Ulma Construction, and it's a company providing machines and tools helping to construct big big buildings and big infrastructures. And Orona is a lift or elevator company that is more and more buying subsidiaries all over Europe, and they need multi-domain and multi-language sites. So, I'm done. Thank you for coming, and if you have any question that I can answer, I'm here for you. Yep. Yeah, just wait for the microphones. Or
did you also get a question for from your customer that they want to have a central repository, for example, of news items, and then put those all over the sites in the right language for the right country with the right news item? Because then you also get the same problem where news items are, you have an English news item which is only suitable for the United Kingdom, and another news item is only suitable for the United States or for another country. Where did they ever ask that?
No, they didn't, but I think with this kind of approach, when you have everything, remind that we have everything in one Plone site. So in one Plone site approach, getting that is quite easy. You just have to translate to the language you want, and you're done. This serves not only for pages and images, but all the site is translated like that. So.
Okay. Are there more questions? I have a question. The patch that you mentioned about the Plone multilingual with the redirect links, is that available somewhere online?
No, but we can put it in our GitHub or in a Gist or so. Yeah, it's quite easy. It's just instead of providing at multilingual and UID, it's just to get the get translation for the language and provide the absolute URL. So it's pretty easy. No, there's a question there.
I missed the point where you handle the fallback for singular pages that are not translated.
Sorry?
I missed the point where you handle the fallback for singular pages that are not translated.
Okay, in these cases, we hadn't that case of not having untranslated pages. All the pages were translated. But we usually use the approaches that Plone App Multilingual provides. One of them is to show the user this page is not in your content, in your language, and the other one is to provide a link to a nearest parent that is already translated. There is an option in Language Control Panel in Plone providing that option that you can configure for all the site. We use one of them. It depends on the project and on the requirements of the client. But we always try to provide a link at least to a page saying this content is not in your language, not to force the user to go to a page he doesn't want.
Okay, Mikel, thank you very much for your talk.
Thank you.